Vancouver Island. We know Thomas as one of the newest Canadian Unity ministers. He also, as I mentioned earlier, is the newest senior minister for Unity of Vancouver Island, which again, congratulations. He's an accomplished musician. He has a financial background, and he brings all of his wisdom into a talk today that's called You Determine Creation. So I'm going to shut down our slides and turn it over to you, Thomas. Welcome.
Well, hello, everybody. Marilyn, when you were saying I have ants, I thought ants. I was actually thinking of little ants. And it took me a moment to realize that you were talking about your aunties, not ants. And I was thinking, then I started to think of ants in the Beatles, and they were playing the Beatles. And I just went off into my imagination. So I had a lot of fun with that. So thank you for that. I'll start off with a story. It's a guru with his students, and they say, "Master, what did you get as a result of enlightenment?" And another one says, "Well, yes, what did enlightenment give you?" And the man says, "Well, I'll tell you what it gave me. When I eat, I eat. When I look, and when I hear, I hear. That's what it gave me." And his bewildered disciples replied back, "But everybody does that." And the master laughed and said, "Well, if everybody does that, then everybody is enlightened." But how many people actually do that is the bigger question. How many people are really present to when they're eating, when they're looking, when they're hearing, to anything that they're doing in the moment? When are they truly present to that? And it comes and goes. If you're like me, it's a fleeting sort of existence. You know, I do my best to be present. I do my best to try to stay in the moment, which I would call is true creation. Is that to determine creation, we need to actually be in the moment and the presence of creating our own lives. That's the gift. You know, I've developed over the last few years this idea when using the word God, what I think it really is life itself. That seed of life that we each have planted within us. That's what we're being called to do. That's what the gift is that we get to, and I mean that, we get to live our life in whatever form it takes. And we have complete control over the faculties of our expression of our mind, our thoughts, our presence, our how we actually see things, what we make everything mean. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but we are meaning-making machines. We make meaning out of everything. You know, I often have thought of this. It's like if I'm somebody that takes the bus, you know, on Tuesdays, but if it's raining that day, that means, you know, whatever. It means that I can't have pancakes on Saturday. I don't know. We can make it mean whatever we want. And then we fall into these cycles of belief that then become our expression of life. And I love what was brought up at the beginning. Question our answers. Not just question our answers, question everything. Question our beliefs. I don't know if you're all familiar with Sadhguru. I was listening to something from him the other day, and it has really kind of shaken my foundation in a way, because he was asked the question about raising his daughter, and he's chosen to raise his daughter out of school with no belief systems, no theories, no religion, none of that stuff, to allow her to fully absorb and then go whatever direction she wants. And he then went on to discuss that any belief system you have, you are now trapped into something. And I've been thinking about that since I think I listened to that on Monday. It has stuck with me since Monday, that even my idea of unity teachings, which I love, I mean, that's what brought me to unity. I am now even questioning not whether they're valued or not whether they're valid or not whether they work, but how much have they become a belief system within me that I can't actually see through them. And I think that's important. I think that we need to check in with ourselves often to see what's really going on. What is driving the bus? You know, what's really at the wheel of our life as we go through the process. And all of us are at different ages and different stages of our lives, but I'll bet you we could all get together in a room and still talk about the same opportunities that we have for growth. you know I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not handsome enough, whatever it is, whatever that story is. I'll bet you we all experience that in our lives at various levels and at various times. Now, some it might be less, some it might be more often, some might have the ability to get over it really quickly. Because that's really what happens is when we're met with our own internal battles of living, it's really a question of how quickly can we overcome them. So what tools have we developed to actually move beyond that state or that way of thinking that we might have within us? And that's, again, that goes back to that question our answers. So question everything that's going on within ourselves. When I think of that, I think of Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul, and that moment in there where he actually explained it as taking a step back and observing, right? Taking a step back and observing yourself. What's really going on here within me? Because nobody can make you upset. Nobody can hurt your feelings unless you allow it to happen. Now, I might get some pushback on that, and that's okay. I'm ready for it. But in my mind, from everything I've read, from the Fillmores to Buddhist teachings to Christian teachings, the mind is what we have at our disposal to shape and frame. And we have the ability to overcome things. And we also have the ability to get trapped within them. And I think even the overcoming of something can be a trap. So the questioning is so critical when it comes to determining our very life. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, Jesus calls us not to a new religion, but to life itself. That's our responsibility. I read a book a number of years ago. I think I have it here. No, I don't. It's not on my shelf here. It's the Three Somethings. Anyhow, they have this story in there. It's not important. It's not important right now. This is important, the story. They have this story in there where they explain, somebody got up, they decided they wanted to go out and get coffee. They hop in their car, they head down the road, they get to a set of lights. It's green for them. They go through the lights. Somebody ran the red, T-bones them in the car. They end up in the hospital. They've got, some broken bones. They're going to live, but they got some broken bones, and they're basically going to be in the hospital for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until they can be released, etc. The story goes. And then they pose the question, well, who's responsible? Who's responsible for that? Yes, somebody ran the red light and hit your car, but who put you there? Who made the choice to get in the car and drive down to get coffee? So the message they were trying to put forth was that take responsibility for your life. Be responsible. You determine everything that goes on in your life through your conscious mind, your the power of understanding that we have, the power of divine order, all of those things are within our grasp and within our thinking and our way of being. And there's a difference between being and doing. Anybody a doer? Do, gotta do, gotta do, gotta do, gotta do. Right. Doing is great, but who are you being when you're doing? That's the question that we want to answer. Who am I being in this moment? When I'm fighting and arguing with my wife, who am I being? Am I being the loving presence of openness and communication that I strive to be? Likely not. When I'm arguing with my children, am I being the source of love and kindness and empathy that I want to be? Probably not. So, who am I being in those moments? Who are you being when something is coming up that might be challenging you? And we can draw on things in our lives. When things are working, who are we being in those moments? Right? When we're loving our life, when we're in that, that joyful expression of life that we have, who are we being in those moments? Well, why don't we take that and apply it to all the other moments in our life? Okay, so your life is a mess. All right, so let's just look at that. Okay, my life's a mess. It's a mess probably because we have wrong ideas. There's nothing wrong with us or you or me. We're all great, right? We're all wonderful. We're all perfect, whole, and complete. There's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing missing. We don't need to be fixed. We're not broken. We're all great, but somewhere along the way, some wrong ideas have been put into us. Sometimes from our childhood, right? What our parents may have said, what our grandparents or what our aunties may have listened to. These things can have an impact on us. And this is why we want to dig into taking our head out of the sand, sort of, and start looking around. It's not about blaming or catching the culprit or looking for who did what or what. It's about us looking at ourselves and always being in that question, who am I being? Because transformation begins right there. As soon as we get curious about who we are, that's when transformation can begin. We have to be willing to take that step. And I think of this often, two things here. So we can take something from the Buddha and we can take something from the New Testament. Buddha, the world is full of sorrow. The root of sorrow is attachment. From scripture, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, just from things that were written thousands of years ago, we can see that there is an understanding of the human condition that we all experience. We all get to experience that. And yet we still seem to be struggling with it. I don't know if you're like me, but my brain tends to want to always go for what's not working first. It's like we're wired to somehow look at all the things that aren't working instead of all the things that have worked up into this moment. And so it's incumbent upon each one of us to take responsibility for that. In Charles Fillmore's writings of the Revealing Word, I've taken some things here. The order of creation is from the formless to the formed, from the invisible to the visible. And this goes on perpetually. There's never a beginning or an ending to this process. So just take a look around the room you're in. I know you're on a computer, you've got, Zoom playing here. Just take a look at everything around you. All of this has been created twice. Once in the mind of somebody, and secondly, in the physical world. from the formless to the formed. And that's what we all can do with our lives. It's called the law of mind action. And it can be described in 3 steps: mind, idea, manifestation. First, there must be mind. Second, everything exists for as an idea in the mind. And third, the inherent power and intelligence to in the idea causes it to act or express. We can't just sit on the sofa and think about it. It's a great place to start, but we do have to step into action. That is our duty. And part of that action is also reminding ourselves to be the observer, of what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're thinking, what we're thinking, how we're showing up. We talked a little bit off the top about divine order. And so I want to share a story, because what's great is we can look in our lives too and see examples. So I'm very fortunate. I have 2 incredibly wonderful twin daughters. They just graduated high school. They just turned 18 on July 7th. And they both have aspirations to go off to college and university and do great things with their lives. And I'm very grateful. As a dad, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome than where we are right now. And I couldn't have asked for 2 better teachers in my life than my 2 daughters. They have taught me a great deal. And so one of my daughters had a scholarship to go to a university in New Jersey as a NCAA athlete, an acro tumbling athlete. A lot of her, almost 3/4 of her university was going to be paid for through scholarship. And, we had never planned that. It just kind of happened for us. This was an amazing opportunity that showed up last summer. And then in the fall, we interviewed with 12 different universities. We went and visited 3. She chose one, signed in November, she signed the documentation and made her commitment to that university. And then in late May, she woke up to an email saying that the coach was no longer with the program and the program has been cut and her scholarship is gone. So this was just, 7-8 weeks ago. And it's, there's no recruiting going on right now. There's all of the scholarship money has been pretty much laid out for the season, and she has no school to go to. And of course there were tears. And so my wife and I were thinking, we weren't that crazy about the university she chose, but she chose it and it's the one she wanted to go to. And so in a way, I was kind of like, oh, this is great. There's a new opportunity here, right? That's what I'm thinking. So speaking to my daughter, I'm like, hey, you know what? It's going to all work out. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. This will all get sorted out somehow. Well, this is how it got sorted out. 2 hours later, she jumped back onto Instagram where all of these other coaches had reached out to her and began planting the seed with other schools and coaches that she was now available. Like, I am now available to come to your school. She had 10 coaches reach out with interest. And it turns out now she is signed with Michigan to go to Calvin University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with the same amount of scholarship she was offered before, in my opinion, a way better school with a way better coach. And what I mean by that is the other coach was brand new. It was her first year coaching. She was young, nice person. But, when I looked at her Instagram profile, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's really the best thing for my daughter, but I'll just let her live her life. This coach is in her 8th year of coaching. She was everything that she did this whole time. And speaking with Tatum was concern for what she had just experienced, that how hard that must have been for her to get that email. So it was never about are you going to come to my school and be on my team? And I need a decision today. It was always, I want you on my team, but I want you to make that choice freely and with no strings attached. There's no pressure. I'm really just want to know that you're okay because what you just went through, I went through when I was in college, and it's really hard. And we went to that school, we visited, we met all the people. And, the words that I will remember always in flying back home was when Tatum said to me, I don't think I chose last time from the right, looking at the right things. And this time I chose based on the people and the quality of school I'm going to be going to and my relationship with the coach. And like a whole different paradigm of where she was thinking before. And so, if I take that as an example for our opening divine order, the power of creating our lives, determining our outcome, I can see that just in that one example from my own daughter, that there was a transformation within her that went on. It came from a seed being planted in her. Here's an opportunity, also a growth opportunity. And yet it's now worked out. The school's closer. I don't have to fly to New Jersey. I only have to fly to Michigan. I can even drive up to see y'all when I'm there, right? It's possible. So from us, as the parents, we look at it and, the school I think she's going to now is a much better place on a social and economic situation than the one that she was going to. And here's what I mean by that. You look at, you can tell something just by the way it's taken care of, right? You just know. The other one, not so well taken care of. This one, everything in order, pristine, nothing being left to sort of fall apart, right? As soon as something's not working, it's fixed up and brought back to life. And I thought that was really important to me. So we can see in our lives that there's opportunities. And if we're paying attention, you probably have your own examples of that, of people or maybe even yourself, where you've been thrown a curveball, something you didn't expect, and you gathered up whatever was within you to reshape that and be open to something new, as opposed to being stuck on the way it was supposed to look. See, that's what we have in determining how creation of our lives shows up for us. There's nothing impossible to us. Whatever we think we can conceive and feel as true within us. I hope you all get that. That's the thing that is there for us. And feeling, when you bring in emotional feeling into something, when I go back to thinking, when I was writing songs in a band and playing, like the best songs that we wrote were the ones that when I played, I was emotionally charged in playing them. Like every time it stirred up something within me. And so then that is being sent out into the world, right? From the inside out is how we live. And I get it. Life happens, right? Life can life us and take us in a particular direction. But it's incumbent upon us to not, to hold up the hand to the outside world and say, no, that's not the way this is going to go. I determine the way it's going to go for me. I'm making a stand. So I have 10 steps here that we can take. And oh my gosh, I've already talked for 25 minutes. I never met a microphone I didn't like. So I apologize. But here, I'll go through these relatively quickly. So number one, practice being present in the moment. When you eat, truly eat. When you listen, truly listen. Because this level of presence can lead to a more enlightened and fulfilling life. Number two, observe yourself non-judgmentally. Step back and watch your thoughts and actions without criticism, without shaming yourself, without judgment. You know what I'm talking about. I'm such an idiot. Oh, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Right? Forget all that stuff. Drop that. Don't need it. Just look from a non-judgmental observation, because this can help you break free from automatic behaviors and programming. Come to your senses. Use your physical senses to ground yourself in the present moment and experience reality more fully. So you know what that's like. You're out at the water's edge, or you're in the forest or something, and you just stop and breathe and feel all that and look around, and you engage your senses to bring yourself into the present moment. Recognize that you have a choice in how you respond to life is number 4. Even when life presents challenges, you can choose how to show up and react. So recognize that, know it. Tell yourself this every day. Create a mantra. I have the choice. The choice is mine on how to live. Let yourself know that. Become, you know, it's the positive reinforcement within ourselves, the mantras that we say to ourselves. Those are the things that become our new way of being. So we have that ability to do that. We can retrain our subconscious, which then becomes part of our conscious thinking. Let go of attachments. The root of sorrow is often our attachment to things, ideas, or outcomes. Practice releasing these attachments for greater peace. Let go. Or as they would say, let go and let God. Well, let go and let life. Number 6, nurture your inner seed of life. Well, we all have this seed. How we care for it determines our personal growth and the life we create. You know, and there's certain ways we can do that. We can nurture ourselves by eating good, you know, getting good sleep, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves first. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there, they love doing things for other people, and I do too. And then there comes a point where you need, you know, in the airplane, it's always, you know, put the mask on yourself first. Why? So that you can serve more. So we need to make sure that we're nurturing our inner seed of life. Seek awareness rather than trying to force inner silence. True silence and peace will naturally arise from increased awareness. Okay, so what that means is to be able to sit in the moment and be completely aware of exactly where you are, exactly what's going on within you, and allow that to become your meditation. Be completely aware. The silence will come. It might take some practice. That's why they call it a practice. We never master it. We keep practicing it to get deeper and deeper. Embrace vulnerability and honest communication. Sharing your truth can lead to better self-understanding and deeper connections with others. So for me, for example, this is my way of sharing my truth with people. And here's what happens is as soon as something comes out of my mouth, I can hear it and I'm like, ooh, I maybe didn't want to put it that way. Or it's like, hey, that was exactly the way I wanted to put it. Right. But when we speak, we hear ourselves and we actually can form our ideas and really crystallize them to a point where we're getting our message out, we're being heard. And not only that, we are confident in our truth. You know, I've done almost 280 live talks on Insight Timer now, since 2020. That has been the greatest training ground for me to practice this, talking to a camera. You know, I'm looking down and I'm seeing your faces at the same time, but really it's a one-way conversation right now. It's hard. And on Insight Timer, there is only one speaker. There's no talking back. It's only text messaging. So it's a great practice when you are speaking your truth and hearing how it comes out. Number 8, embrace vulnerability and honest. Oh, sorry, I already said that. Number 9, practice gratitude for your life experiences, both positive and challenging. Say yes to your life as it is while still working towards growth and change. I want you to get that. Like, say yes to your life exactly the way it is. I have this theory that I think it's my own theory, but it's a combination of what I've listened to in life and read. Everything is perfect. There is nothing out of place. The universe can only unfold perfectly. So everything that has been put in the soup of this moment, getting me right here, getting you right here to this moment in your life, is absolutely perfect. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is out of place. You are exactly where you are as a result of everything that's been put in. So it only can be perfect. Not perfect like, oh, it didn't go my way, not that kind of perfect. I'm talking about it's perfect. The choice you made to do this or not do this has gotten you right here. So to think of it like it hasn't worked out doesn't really serve. It doesn't serve us. So let's be grateful for the fact that we're right here. And guess what? Right here can start a new moment. That's the great thing. It's like, boom, I am starting a new moment today. Maybe it doesn't work out tomorrow, but you can start all over again. You can start a new moment. It's incredible. Every moment is brand new. Come on. And number 10, regularly engage in practices like meditation and prayer to deepen your connection with yourself and life itself. That's what we have the ability to do. And we need to remind ourselves of this, and we need to work at it. It doesn't just show up naturally. It's something we need to engage with. If and that's only if we want to have a certain style of life. That's it. You don't have to do any of this. Like, you might just be completely happy with the way your life is and you're not doing any of this stuff, and that's great. That's absolutely perfect. But if there is something, there is a harboring for suffering within you that you want to get rid of, that you no longer want to experience, there are ways to do it. And that is incumbent upon us to take on, not anybody else. And so, with that in mind, why don't we spend a few moments together in meditation and ground ourselves in this idea of determining our own creation, determining our own lives? And so I invite you to be right where you are and to allow yourself to maybe close your eyes, focus into your breath, become comfortable in the place you are. And as you breathe in, I want you to think of this, that the idea here with this breath work we're going to do is to breathe in for maybe a count of 4 or 5. You can count it out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 2 counts and then let go for 7 so that our exhale is longer than our inhale. And so, why might we do that? Because it actually sends a message to our autonomic nervous system that everything's okay. By that longer exhale than inhale, we actually tell ourselves, oh, I can relax. It's okay. So I invite you to do 3 breaths like that. Again, breathing in for a count of 5, holding for 2, and exhaling for 7. And then another breath. And now return to that state of being breathed, allowing your breath to move in and move out gently. What you might call your normal breath. And I invite you to bring that breath into your belly. Maybe breathing through your nose makes that a little easier. And place one hand on your belly and allow the rise and fall of your belly to feel that. Bring your awareness to that experience. Continue with that breathing, and then with your other hand, bring that up to your heart space and just place it gently on your heart space. Continue with your breath, your belly rising and falling. And you can think of this as connecting your wisdom, your order, and your love, your heart space, your harmony together. And as you continue to relax, I invite you to silently repeat to yourself, I am creative. I am creation. I am open to new ideas. I am open to new experiences. My life is possibility. My creativity is abundant. I am loving my life. We'll just spend a few moments in silence, and I'll let you know when it's time to come back. So I invite you to bring a gentle smile to your face, breathing in as you smile, letting go with your exhale. Let's just take a moment to feel gratitude right now. Gratitude for this time together, for the leadership in your Unity community, the wonderful souls that have allowed this online presence to exist. And let's be grateful for one another for showing up today, for being a part of this community, the Sangha, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say. One of the great gifts we have is to celebrate in community. And as you're ready, you can let your hands down, maybe move your fingers, and on an inhale, open your eyes and come back to this space. Namaste. Thank you for being here.